surfaces not happening. We expect that a second hike and bike trail be installed not in front of residences when another exists behind the same residences. We expect you to not create a problem when one does not exist. We expect you to ensure public safety. This proposal does not ensure that, as Sawmill Road is quite often used as a speedway, as anybody who lives around there knows.
Well, I use it all the
We
time.
expect that in the future, these notices be printed in plain English, not legal language. And that's it.
Thank you. Thanks, Rick.
Yes, I don't think Terry's presentation was quite enlightening up there, Matt. I don't think you can assume the roads to a trail connecting Empire Valley. What we're opposed to is having it where you want it, where you guys want to be able to build a larger. I think that the existing hiking bike path, the things enhanced all the way to Head Lake, could become that jewel. I mean, you talk about having proximity to Road 9, and people coming down with their bikes and going over through some of the wineries that are really close by the bridge there, all the way down to Road 22, that you go around all the wineries around that stage. I mean, that could become a real jewel in our community. We're not saying we're opposed to that. We think it's a terrible waste of taxpayers' dollars to duplicate that and force it on residences and have their privacy invaded and vandalism increased. That's what we're really opposed to. You know, it's being made out to sound like the residents don't want to trail out. We do. We want a hike and bike path. We want increased tourism. We want all of those things. We just want you to go after tenure. Like the town did. The town got tenure on the trail they got to the town. So why not the regional district waste all of their efforts and try and get tenure along the river all the way to the head of the lake? That makes total sense. Yeah. We're not.
We're here.
The ways of trying to get, go through those different concerns. You've got them written down because you've heard from all the residents who are in this room. Those are really valid concerns. If we didn't have an existing hiking bike path, if we didn't have the opportunity to put that through the lake, then maybe we'd be looking at it, the old KVR right away. But we do have that opportunity. We want you to pursue that. We want you to stop wasting your efforts to try to get tenure and go after the Ministry of Environment and get tenure along the river. That makes total sense. I think that from our perspective, and when you visited with us, we've got Prairie Orchards on Road 9 not packing us. We're extremely concerned about opening up Sawmill Road and Road 9 to traffic through there. I mean, there's a lot of vandalism that occurs in the area. I mean, we've been victims of it there. I've been victim of it at home with theft. I mean, vandals like to have places to hide. I mean, if they don't have to go back up to the highway from Sawmill Road to Road 9, that's a huge benefit for them. And you're going to say, well, it's not open to vehicles now. But I mean, you go out at 3 o'clock in the morning and hear the quads that are running around. I mean, that's what's happening in our community. We don't want that opened up. We want you guys to listen to us. It's like, even throughout your whole presentation, it's like you're trying to take notes and input, but you've almost made up your mind. Yeah. I mean, those short out of there is counting.
Thanks, Rick. They do count. That's why we're here. That's why we're talking about it. So, again, I appreciate your comments.
The only thing I can hope is that the politicians are listening. Because I've been on council with you all over since 1991. I know when staff gets their idea on doing something, they're very pushy. Oh, yeah. But politicians have to stand up for staff. And quite often, I've done it over the years. You know what I mean? And that's the people who will front. Staff will keep driving for it. I mean, it's a big make work project. It's a huge empire building thing. It's a real, that's what staff does. Politicians over there, there's one, the chair sitting there listening. I want him to listen. The people don't want it. So listen to the people.
It's not their backyard, it's ours. You're not going to see it every day, I'm sorry, but you're not going to see people walking around looking at your place and trying to figure out steal. Trust me, it's happening. I even got pictures of a vehicle that was stashed in my dad's place last week. That was stolen in Princeton. So it's happening. We don't want it.
Hey, Jimmy, the post office the other
Just
day.
keep on going. We'll try to go after that the river.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Greg Jordan, Area C. I was chair of the agriculture area plan that you referred to earlier as
part of the input board. Just wanted for the people here to know what we wrote. And that was a process, took us 5 or 6 years actually. It started during Stuart Cardoche's time, ended partway through Alan Patton's time. And it was made up of agriculture producers from here at Westwater AC. All sectors were represented on that. It was a fairly exhaustive, very complete discussion. I'm just gonna read from it, just so you know, because it kind of misrepresented what we said. So, in the issue, section column, it said trails through farming areas have the potential to complicate farming and disrupt commonly accepted farming practices. Then in the analysis side, we said, area C, I'm paraphrasing here, supports the Okanagan River International Hike and Bike Trail, but discourages the creation of new trails for farming areas. That's the agriculture. And then we go on to say where trails through farmland do occur, their designation and use should require the approval of affected farmers. The approval of affected farmers. The second bullet was trails should be appropriately buffered so as to protect agriculture from encroachment. And put high hedges on both sides or whatever. Impacts on farming should be mitigated by the trail proponents. So it costs the producers money, the trail proponents need to compensate for it. That's what the agriculture area plan document was approved by the regional board in 2008. And frankly, as chair of that and seeing the hours, the hundreds, literally hundreds of volunteer hours of our producers to put this thing together, it feels like, why did we bother 5 or 6 years of evenings to do this when I know this year? But anyway, that's factual, that's the problem. So, you didn't represent it quite that honestly in your
I'm living down Sawmill Road, we're registered bee apiary. I probably will be also affected. I don't want those bees disturbed. It's very important to pollinization of agricultural area. We do have a driving into that land, and it's the same thing, it's swamp. And, it's nice to have these things, but we're looking at, to continue these trails, millions and millions of dollars. And there is, the Riverdyke Road is fine, but when you go through a congested farming area, to me, that's completely ludicrous. You're looking for lots of problems. You're better to bypass it, it was suggested. And I would suggest to people who have adjoining land, even myself, I'll be writing the government, asking to purchase that adjoining land so it can be put to proper farm use. Somebody's using it for farm use now. That at least will be putting that land to good use, and they can get some taxation revenue out of the land. A simple bike path through that's going to be nothing but problems, and you're not going to make no revenue on it. So that's my opinion. I don't want it there, and I hope some of these people will listen. Start writing
That's what my wife and I are trying to do, is to purchase that piece right beside us.
We did have an option at one time.
Sorry, Gail is hiding up front here.
Hi, my name's Dale Owen. I'm probably going to that's okay. I very strongly favor the development of the KVR on KVR property. That land was once taxpayers' property. It was given to railroads. The government at the time probably made the biggest mistake of their high-level trees business. They didn't, that land did not transfer back to us, the taxpayers, when the KVR pulled out. So this is why we're having all the problems now. We heard from the RDOS that we can't have it where the existing trail is because it's in a floodplain. The government will not allow the development We bring a lot of tourist dollars in here. I've got 4 people up here right now that did down the KVR from Chute Lake down to Penticton yesterday, and yes, through the agricultural area that is being protected. And tomorrow we're coming from Osoyoos up to here. These are only the last 4 people I've brought up here. Over the last year, I've had over 100 people come out and spend their tourist dollars on here to do the trails. And they're all talking about doing a proper trail. So we already, the provincial government already has control of this land. Let's take it back from them. Let's build a trail here.
Thank you again.
Thousand kilometers away from the hike and bike trail. I mean, we're not against or meters. Sorry, meters. Yeah, sorry, meters. I mean, we're not against the trail. It exists. People can bike up and down that trail.
That's right.
And in fact, you know, let's take some of the money. Like, how much? What's the budget on this KVR trail, anyways, Justin? You guys must have a ballpark idea.
No, this is the information we're collecting. All the time we spent walking and meeting with people
But,
and
you know,
addressing their concerns.
but are we talking millions? Like, what are we talking about here? You have to have some kind of an idea.
No, we don't. We're at such an early stage in this. Our first step is to gain tenure. Right now, I'm going out. I wouldn't even try and hazard a guess at that. It varies so much. There's different infrastructure. There's all these different needs that go into it. You know, we're not at a point to even hazard a guess at that. Right now, we are exploring all the potential of building a trail through there. From that, decisions will be made and priorities will be made.
But really, like, people are talking about how they like the trail. And I mean, you're talking about how you're bringing tourists in. But the hike and bike trail is there. And
It's already being
I
paid
don't
for.
understand how the town of Oliver can get 10 years to use the trail and the RDOS can't. So the whole idea that, you know, it's controlled by the Ministry of the Environment, we can't have access to the trail. Well, if one local government can do it, surely another local government can do it. And it's going to be a lot more affordable to pursue tenure from the Ministry of Environment than it is to build an entirely brand new trail. That's going to cause a lot of problems for people. I mean,
Exactly.
I don't know the benefits that you had. Yes, there's benefits to having a trail, but those benefits are already being met. That's the point. But there's a lot of costs that the KVR is going to impose on people.
Well, it's just taxpayer dollars.
With taxpayer dollars. And the reality is, there's a lot of issues on our existing parks and trails. I mean, you have people using it for drinking alcohol, for drugs, you have people camping along our existing trails. Why don't you
Thievery.
take the money that you'd allocate towards the KVR, put it towards the hike and bike trail, our other parks and trails in the RDOS, and make sure that they're safe,
Perfect
so that
timing for
everyone
that jail
can
when
use
it
them
opens
without
up
having to be
again.
afraid of the illegal camper, or, you know, the couple that's smoking pot, or, like, let's put our money to use that's gonna benefit everyone, and make our available
My name is June Reynolds, I'm a taxpayer in Area C. The existing hike and bike path that is on the dike right now has 4 crossings all the way from the bridge north of town right to the head of Soyuz Lake. 4 crossings. If this KVR trail goes through, how many roads and driveways are gonna be costing us?
Affected landowner, my name's John Platt. I have about 1,000 feet of property between roads 10 and 11 that would be adjacent to it. And I'm definitely against it, but if you guys go ahead, I'm gonna plant a cedar hedge, and that's gonna be the view. Because I've got enough neighbors and problems with spraying and trying to do an orchard, and if that's the way you guys gotta go. There's gonna be a hedge there, and it's gonna be, you know, in 20 years, it'll be 20 feet tall, and that's, you got lots of better options than to do this one.
That's right.
Perfect world, this whole concept is fantastic, but we don't live in a perfect world, do we? We have a growing crime rate in this town, it's scary, there's stuff going on, there's break-ins, there's all sorts of stuff going on in this area here. Now we got a prison, and the people who are gonna be occupying that facility are gonna have visitors, and those visitors, some of them, and I'm not saying all, are of an element that you really don't want around your backyard. My property borders right on the edge of the road that I live in. I'm gonna have people biking and going back and forth within 30 feet of my kitchen window. And we don't know who it is. All this is, it's granted, it may draw some tourists. What about the people that have to live here? What about the people that live here and make their livings here, and that live where they live because that's where they want to live, because it's fine? What about them? No thoughts given to them. You're gonna have people going up and down there on quads, it's happening on the river dike, as we said here tonight, there's break-ins, there was an assault down the road from me, or here just a while ago, somebody came in and wanted something, a man was assaulted, it took 5 hours for the RCMP to get there, people, 5 hours. So where's our safety? Why isn't money spent on policing and also on
have to be existing bike path.
You're gonna be ending this because the prison's coming. I know.
It's ridiculous. The asphalt is
You know what the funny thing is? The cops don't work from 2 in the morning till 6. Do you think maybe the thieves might know this?
So as I mentioned, and a few people have spoken to it, we do not have any form to maintain that trail. We don't have a mechanism or tenure or some sort of foothold that allows us as a local government to invest in that trail. So that's our challenge right now.
Well, go after that.
Sorry, what was that?
Respectfully, why do you not put the effort into getting that tenure, which I'm sure can be done, instead of wrecking
And
people's
the
lives?
public would back you on that.
Exactly.
All of us here with that.
Another point, apparently a lot of people got letters about this project. The first that I heard about this was about 2 weeks ago from somebody else. We never got a letter. Other people we know got letters. Why did we not get a letter?
And we bordered that, we're right there.
We were not notified. Nobody has been in touch with us over this.
Sorry, I apologize. There must have been a miss that would happen. We sent 159 letters out. I can get you, if you come see me at the end, I'll collect your information.
I think I probably, I think.
On the hiking bike path, when we bought the place, the bike path was there. I took steps to mitigate the problems that I have. We have countless issues with people with privacy, with people letting their dogs off leash on our property. We've had altercations with their animals coming on ours, and it's cost us some money recently due to issues like that. But the hiking bike path was there. We knew that when we moved in. The big concern is that because the KVR was abandoned and nobody looked after it, I know guys here that have done and have got permission from the KVR, from CP Rail, to look after the property, said you're doing us a favor. So because there was a huge abandonment that went on, people have taken over and looked after it, and the corridor has been closed off. To come back and open it up now, that's where everybody's up in arms, is because it's something that had the corridor been maintained and access been maintained up until now, it would be a different story. But because that access hasn't been maintained, now that land originally, and people can say whatever they want, had the KVR not gone through there, that land would have, the property lines would have either included both halves of the property, or one property and the other would have had the boundaries drawn through it. So the land may have belonged to the public at once, but had that line not been through there, those property boundaries would have been bordering each other, not the KVR right of way. So, like I said, because of the abandonment and the fact that people have taken over to look after the land, and now people are coming along and saying, well, we want to go through. Well, not in my backyard. And like I said, I deal with it every day, but when I moved in, the KVR was there, so we took our own steps. Now it's different. It's going to be across the road for me as well. And now I'm pissed off because I'm going to have it on one, no problem. But now I've got to protect myself from another one that wasn't there when I moved in. And again, it's going to cost me money to look after that. And I think the consensus saying that I think the bike path is great, and we've said it. You heard it day one, and you're going to hear it till the end. That is the course of action to maintain. That piece needs to be looked after. I mean, right now, okay, if you guys got no tenure, the problem we run into is that people let their dogs run loose. Nobody picks up after them. There's stuff. There's dog shit everywhere. There has to be, all this has to be taken into consideration. So, we've talked about having an alternate route if the KVR goes through. Well, now we've got two to maintain. So what's going to happen is one going to fall into dereliction, and we're going to end up with this mess all over again. So I think we need to, the consensus is, the corridor is there, let's use it.
Right.
I was absolutely against any portion of the public transportation corridor being moved over to private hands. I think it's a public transportation corridor, and it should stay that way. The issue of having it as a dedicated trail parallel to what exists now was not on my agenda. I'm fine with having just that one there, but we never know what's going to come up in the future. For instance, we have the north end of Osoyoos Lake, and that was that can be attached to the existing trail through the KVR. Up north of Oliver, you've got that fisheries event. So they had to change to go over to the KVR and then back onto that. So we don't know what's coming down the road in the future. So that's what I wanted to do, was preserve that trail area as a public area that we can use.
Then it's your fault.
Back and forth.
Then it's your fault. It is.
Okay, so fine.
We got a hike and bike path, let's use it. And
Well, okay,
and-
hold on here. So something else you might not know is that I had, and for sure you don't, but the thing is, we dealt with the Ministry of Environment, and Justin's correct. It's very difficult dealing with them. Are they here now? No. Okay. Well, they're the ones that I had such difficulty in enabling the Parks and Rec the committee to work on the trail outside of the town of Oliver. Now, somebody said that, gee, town of Oliver can do it. Obviously, the RDOS can do it. It's just another local government. Well, the MOE made it much easier for the town of Oliver to attain their trail and to maintain it. They certainly didn't give us the same courtesy. No way. They were adamantly against it. I agree with you people in lobbying them big time to make sure we keep that trail along the river, and then we don't have to have one that's parallel. That's I'm fine with that. But I'm adamantly, just before you clock too much, maintaining that line as a public transportation corridor if we ever need it in the future for whatever reason.
I'm tired of hearing this, of maintaining that line. There's chunks of that line that got sold to towns and to others. There was some money in it. It was sold by the province to the village, to the towns that acquired that chunk. Why was not the other chunks of land done the same, given the same right? Because it wasn't worth nothing. But in town, yes, the town of Oliver bought a chunk of land from the CPR that the Oliver Co-op purchased from them for $90,000. That's what after they paid for it. So don't give me this, it's because it wasn't worth any money. That's why they never did anything with it. Now, what they should do is maintain the trail that we've got along the river, expand it if you can, along both ends of the river, to do whatever you can, abandon that section, and those lands that are adjacent to the KVR trail should be given, the owner should be given the opportunity to buy those lands.
Yeah, right. We should be
And
getting
then-
first one.
dollars year after year after year on those lands, instead of costing all taxpayers more money.
I'm a taxpayer and I own land adjacent to the KVR too. And I think I made it very clear when you were there that we don't want that trail there. That trail is paved from the bridge to Oliver. My wife used that trail all the time on the river, and maintain it and use that trail. Don't start something new along there. I don't want those guys next to my backyard either.
On food safety, it's a reality for farmers. A fellow down there mentioned before, if whoever's using that, the pets go into our orchards during our audit, and those pets are there, we fail our audit. And that means our fruit is not marketable. Who's going to be held responsible? That person walking their pet, or is it going to be the regional district? On top of that, I want to mention on the pictures that you gave in Naramata there, where the trail is existing, I don't see any washrooms. Not only are we concerned about dogs coming in, we're concerned about humans coming in. And then we fail our audit. Once we failed it, that's it. We can't market that fruit.
We're done.
We're done. Who's going to be held responsible for thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars of fruit? Not only is it going to be non-marketable against where the pet is along there, the whole orchard's gone. That's it. You failed your audit.
I think the other issue they're going to have too is with pesticides used in the orchards. You know, that people are going to start complaining about that use the trail.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. You know, but they animals themselves.
And we have, like I said, identified it in the issues that were brought up before. It's something we have to look into. I'm by no means an expert in that. not my industry, so that is part of that. That was the value I got from coming out and seeing people. It was, you know, day one. It was the first meeting I heard almost right off the bat. So, you know, mark that down. We've got to do some work there. So, thank you. We'll continue to look into that, and that's part of what we're doing today is collecting that information.
Western yellow-breasted chat. It's nests along Island Road. It's a bird that is very sensitive. It is very shy, and has been monitored for a number of years. And it nests along the rose bushes. They're on the KVR. If those rose bushes are gone, that chat's not coming back. And if a private citizen who has been fined $6,000 for disturbing their nesting site has been fined under the Environmental Act, how can the regional district go in there and destroy that habitat?
We'd have to work with professionals on that, and we have to assess it. So again, more of the work that we're doing, the more the information we're collecting. So,
Well, I have property in Willowbrook, and we had lots of those yellow-breasted birds over there. They live there every day.
Another thing I might mention when it was brought up about all the farming driveways and whatever, in our B yard, Dad used to lease that, and we have a bill of surrender on that driveway. So assumably we own it, and I will not let my privacy there too. The other thing is when, at one time he was leasing it, we were getting into insurance costs. Now, if a bike trail goes through, especially in this farming area from here to Road 9, that's very congested, lots of roads. Who's gonna handle the insurance if a tractor comes out and hits a biker? Whose responsibility is that gonna be? Just a point.
Done a nice presentation. One thing you left out was microphones so we could all hear everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, next time, please. The other thing is, let's have a show of hands. How many people want the original trail kept and the other one nixed?
These people are your bosses, by the way.
Where's the other 80,000 people in the area then to vote?
They couldn't be bothered to come, so I guess they don't give a shit.
hey, that's just not getting argumentative. It's not going to be productive.
I'm a biologist. I work with a nonprofit organization called the Okanagan Snoqualmie Stewardship Society, and I also want to talk about the little yellow-breasted bird. They're actually federally endangered, and part of the area that's marked on the paths, part of the KVR trail is actually critical habitat for yellow-breasted species at risk. They're federally protected, so just another thing to look into.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ashtray out along the railroad.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a typical furniture we've seen before, but. So. No, sorry. What's the people closest?
Was our MLA invited to the meeting tonight?
I believe she was. I don't think she could attend.
Many of the concerns are provincial, so if he doesn't have the answers, we need to speak to Linda Larson, the MLA. And to speak to the Ministry of Environment. Those are the people that we'll need to speak to.
Can I have a word here? I think we're starting to run in circles. Staff will be here to answer questions one-on-one. So I think we'll probably wrap up this public portion of it.
No, that's fine. Last one.
No, last one, and it's crucial, and that is that nobody in this room is opposed to it. It seems like we're being, it's almost like two separate camps. And we're not, nobody in this room is opposed to that. I want to invest in that.
Okay.
That's really important. We're just opposed to putting a new one when we already have it. That's the key point. You know, and also there's one other point too, and that is that you guys say we've applied, and Alan said, oh, we can't do this Ministry of Environment, they're just hands off. I'd like to see a letter. Did you guys fire off a letter and ask, and they respond in writing that you couldn't get tendered? I mean, the town of Oliver got it.
Oh,
Village.
right away. They have given us nothing but a hard time.
Documents on file that say they will not absolutely, I don't know.
No, they wouldn't. Well, now I might not be right on that, Justin. I mean, we worked on the Ministry of Environment for years trying to get them to give us the same access as Town of Oliver has to their port.
Village.
And they wouldn't give it to us.
It's not a
You
town,
gotta
it's a
understand,
village.
ministry entities don't treat regional districts with the same respect they do municipalities. That's a fact. And really, it was one of my biggest problems was the relationship that regional districts have with,
That's your biggest
with
problem.
provincial staff.
Well, the public,
I appreciate that, Rick.
I think